From a professional soccer career to becoming a driving force in the mortgage industry, Brian Covey has shown what it takes to find your competitive edge. Get off the sidelines and get in the game. Find your competitive edge with Brian Covey.
Happy Wednesday and welcome to our webinar here, guys. Thanks so much for showing up. And today, I can promise you this. You might have thought you knew all the mortgage products out there or ways to help yourself retire and actually live life through your later years more comfortably. But today we're going to talk about a product, but more importantly, a strategy to help you, whether it's yourself or your family, your loved ones, make sure that you continue to live and enjoy life as you go on. So we titled this HECM, Reverse Mortgage. You might have heard that title in the news before, but today we're going to debunk some myths. We're going to talk about who this product really works well for, and then dive into some of the things that you may have heard in the news, which we all know doesn't always get the full picture accurately, and how you can actually tap into equity in your home and use that to not only cover living expenses, invest in your future, but also just make sure that you're doing the things you want to do while you're still here on this earth. So we've got two expert guests. We're blessed at Revolution Mortgage. Guys, I will tell you, when we brought over Peter Morris and Nicole Webster, we have the absolute best in the industry. And I mean that because if you know anything about specialized products in the mortgage industry, you know the reverse mortgage program really requires someone that understands it, can articulate it, and help their customers make wise decisions through that. So I'm excited to have Peter and Nicole with us today. We're going to answer your questions. If you are live with us, you can drop questions in. We're on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Drop them in there. If you're catching the recording, that's great too. Drop us a question, DM us, let us know if you have any specifics we can help you with. This is really geared towards our consumers that you might need this program, but it's also geared towards you if you're a financial planner and you want to make sure your clients have the best options and you've thought about this, but you didn't have a trusted advisor like Peter and Nicole. Or it could be you if you're a loan officer and you work at a company today, unlike Revolution, that we have this all in-house and what we do here to really make sure that these close fast, these close well, and we take care of our customers and put them first. So without further ado, Peter and Nicole, welcome.
Thank you.
Hey, Brian. Glad to be here.
I love the t-shirt. I'm just gonna put a plug for that because that's super cool.
Thank you very much.
And I'll tell you guys, since you've joined us, you guys have come in and you just hit the ground running and really educated us. You helped put our reverse platform in a way on the map that we didn't have prior. So before we jump into all the products and all that stuff, why don't you guys just give a little background about yourselves, how you got into this side of the business so people get to know you a little bit better.
Sure. So I've been in the mortgage business since, it'll be 44 years this January. So I owned my own mortgage company prior to 2008 when I had a brain tumor and unfortunately had to close and couldn't work for a little while. And then when I got back into the mortgage business, I really concentrated on the senior space. I saw this product, how great it was going to be way back then, and really put all my focus in on strictly working and learning about how the reverse home equity conversion mortgage, as we call it today, really would benefit a lot of borrowers. So we put together that platform when I owned my own mortgage company. Nicole worked for me way back when she was still in high school. So we took that platform together, like you say, brought it to Revolution, and it has really worked really well with all the branches throughout the whole country. I mean, our average closing day, we average anywhere 7 and 14 days on the closing. So, yeah.
Which, as you know, in the reverse space, we have a lot of people say, well, it takes about 60 to 90 days. I'm like, where?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously, it's the back-end platform that we have together. We have a lot of great LOs that we train, educate to know what to look for, and then we pick it up from there so that the borrowers have a great experience. Like anything, birds of a feather flock together. And when they have a great experience, they're going to tell all their friends how great it was and how great the product is as well. So that's kind of where I've been. So
Love it. Nicole, you started in high school. Holy cow.
I did. He put me to work. Can you believe it? Had to pay rent. No. So Peter obviously is my father. So it was not anything bad. But so we just have a really good connection when it comes to working and communicating with each other. I think that we're really, really successful because of the communication that we have, which is why we're able to close loans so fast. And the communication we have with the borrowers and the LOs and just the education overall is something that we work really well together doing. I came from a retail background, so my whole goal in all of our loans is helping people. I'm like a super loving person. I love to help anybody that I possibly can. Like, I go above and beyond to find any way I can to help someone. So I think that is really what sets us apart when it comes to working with our borrowers.
You know, and a lot of borrowers that we have talked to, especially I over the years, you know, they say, I can tell how passionate you are. You're not just trying to do this as income. And I don't. You know, I'm a senior myself. I could have collected Social Security a few years ago, but I love this product so much. I will tell you right now, Brian, until I cannot do this any longer, I will continue to do this because this is such a great benefit to a lot of seniors. And I believe in this so strongly, as well as Nicole does too. So I couldn't do half the stuff I do if it wasn't for her.
Well, and I love the fact you've already differentiated yourselves and you talk about the closing turn time, because that has been something for years, you know, my 20 plus years in the business, it took forever. And you're like 60 to 90 days, people could lose interest. They, many times it just gets so complicated, they typically bail out. And so I love the fact that you already differentiated what's there. So I'd love for you to talk about this because you talked about how long you've been doing it. I looked up a fun fact that the first reverse mortgage was originated in like 1989, right? So I'm like, I want to know more about this too. And then I saw some of the peaks and all that. And then a couple of years ago, you know, almost 45,000 or so of these HECM products originated. And so I want people to hear that because it's not something that just was invented recently. It's not something that came as a result of a market crash or a correction or any of that. The product's been around for a while. Peter, what have you seen change over the last, let's even say last 5 to 10 years that you've seen this program evolve?
I mean, the biggest change is non-recourse. I mean, years ago, there was recourse on the product. You know, we don't give 100% of the equity today, which we did years ago. And that's how a lot of people got in trouble where, you know, and the other thing is we didn't do a basic income qualification. So we give you all this money. We didn't even see if you could afford to pay your taxes and insurance, which you're going to be responsible to in the product. So we give you all this money, 100% of the equity in your home. You can't afford to pay your taxes. Eventually got foreclosed upon. You know, just like if you don't have a mortgage and you don't pay your taxes, eventually the city or town is going to foreclose upon you. And that's really the big way people got foreclosed upon. You know, we don't swoop in, we don't take your house over, we don't throw you out. You know, we really work to see and make sure that you can stay living there. So that's one of the biggest things. The non-recourse, obviously, again, doing an income qualification to make sure you can afford to pay your taxes and insurance, and don't give you all the equity in your home. So those are some of the biggest things.
Those are two huge ones because you hear that often. And that's something that I've even heard recently from people that are not as familiar with the program of, well, they're just going to give you all that money and, you know, you have to do all these other things and they're gonna give you 100%. And it's like, no, gosh, that's not what's happening anymore. Talk to me about this. I think a lot of people are wondering, who's this program for? Who do you see typically benefit from this the most? Or maybe they're out there and they're like, wondering if it's for them. Who can qualify for this and who's really that ideal client for this?
Sure. Well, to do the HECM product, okay, the FHA side, the home equity conversion mortgage. So we changed the name from reverse mortgage because it has such bad stigma to it, okay? So we changed the name to, it's a home equity conversion mortgage because in fact, that's really what you're doing. You're converting your home equity into a mortgage, okay? So to do the HECM product, at least one borrower has to be 62 years old, okay? So one of the other, some of the myths that I've heard on that particular thing is you have to own your house free and clear, which is totally incorrect, okay? Look at it as you're doing a cash out refinance on the forward side, all right? We'll pay your existing mortgage off. We'll give you a line of credit if in fact there is one there, and then you never have to make your mortgage payment, all right? People 62 and older that have a good amount of equity, they don't have to own their house outright. Again, they can have a mortgage on it. All right. So that's really what you want to look at. Someone just trying to increase their cash flow. All right. Give it to the mortgage payment, possibly get a line of credit.
I would also like to say too, I think a borrower that doesn't really get as much recognition as it should is somebody that's in foreclosure. This loan, we've done a few borrowers that have been in foreclosure and have been able to save their house. And they also received a line of credit, which was crazy. Sure. But those are people that are overlooked, I feel like, in this product a lot, where it can help you not just increase your cash flow, but it has that potential to save a house that you've lived in for 50 years.
I'll give you an example. We did one for a woman in Tennessee. I got a call from a liaison in the court there. She had exhausted all her funds all her resources on the forward side, conventional side. Could not get a mortgage anywhere. In foreclosure, losing her house in 15 days. So the liaison called me and said, Peter, do you think this is a good reverse mortgage candidate? So looking at it, credit was horrible in the 400s. We were actually able to save her house, give her a line of credit. No longer is responsible to make a mortgage payment. We actually did what we call a Lisa. We're going to escrow her taxes and insurance. So now the woman has no payments at all. She kept her house that she was going to lose it. She lived in with her husband. He built it 50 years ago. And we gave her a $50,000 line of credit to live on. So that is right. I mean, if you're on foreclosure, unfortunately, things happen. One day out of bankruptcy. And again, we don't really care what your credit looks like.
Yeah, we've had several. I think that's a big misconception too. A lot of people think that they have to have really good credit. And we've done people who've had a mid score of like a 502. You don't have to have good credit. And it's hard with seniors too, because I feel like they think that once they're down this path, that there's no way out. And there is.
And it's sometimes, you look at some seniors' credit and the credit has gone down because of a lot of different things. One big thing that we've found is they had to go to assisted living. You fall down, you break your hip. You're in there for 4 months. You can't afford to pay your bills because you're not there. So, we build up good letters of explanation to help the borrowers as why was your credit in that situation? 99% of the time, it's something like that. It's a sickness. We've had people that, cancer, have been in the hospital. It's not the fact that they just couldn't pay their bills. They've actually really had a reason as to why. Mm-hmm. And helping them out like that it's unbelievable, and that is a big thing.
I love that.
This product is great for a lot of people that like that.
Hey guys, it's Brian here. I hope you are enjoying the show. By the way, if you're an entrepreneur or a solopreneur looking to grow your personal brand, make a bigger impact, maybe increase your leads and grow your revenue, let's help you get started today by connecting up with my friends over at the Brand Builders Group. You've heard me talk about them, but if you're new here, this is definitely the first step to get you started in turning your reputation into revenue. Head over to freebrandcall.com/Brian Covey. Again, to set up your free brand call, go to freebrandcall.com/Brian Covey to set up a free strategy call with one of the team at Brand Builders, and they will dive into your specific goals for how you want to grow your personal brand. I can't wait to hear how it goes. Yeah, and I love the example you guys shared. People probably don't even think about that today. They're so distressed going through foreclosure, and they make it that far and they've heard your credit is not good. They don't have the income to qualify for a traditional loan. They don't think they have any more options. And you've just pointed out, hey, bring those to us. Let us look at it before you make that final determination. Yeah. And I love the fact too, you pointed out, hey, for certain situations like that, look, we're going to help you with the escrow to make sure that things stay on track, especially in a pattern like that. So I love that. You guys, when we were preparing too, we were talking about this too. So for our financial advisors out there, I know I've got a lot of friends in my circle and probably will watch this and share it. Financial advisors today you guys have seen the news, with everything that's happening with the market, where you're invested. A lot of them, they are probably working with clients that don't have as much money as they thought they would have planned for retirement. And they look at that and go, well, we thought our strategy was going to work over here, but maybe they're short, to your point, like $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 a month that would change their life. And they don't know they're sitting on, to your point, either a free and clear or a house with a very small mortgage that's left. And so if financial advisors are listening out there, what's been your experience of working with them? Because I think often they're like, they don't know about it, so they're fearful of it. How do you guys partner with financial advisors to guide them on that?
Well, yeah, I mean, we reach out to a lot of financial advisors to let them know the changes today. Because like I said, years ago, we give you 100% of the equity. Today, we don't. We give you only between 30 and 70%, depending on your age, for a lot of reasons. One reason is we want to make sure that you have a lot of equity or a good amount of equity left at what the heirs would call the end of the rainbow. Okay, so a lot of financial planners don't know today that there's a line of credit that's attached to the home equity conversion mortgage. Okay, and depending on different circumstances, there's a growth rate that's tied to that too, and it's roughly about 8% a year. So rather than investing in a down market, you'll have that line of credit. So rather than pull money out like we were talking about earlier before we got on, rather than pull money out in a down market, take it out of your line of credit that's growing roughly about 8% a year. When the market rebounds, you take your gains, put on your line, so then now they can continue to run parallel. I had a financial planner call me not too long ago. His client said she wants to get another $300 a month more than what she's getting now. Based on what she had left, she was going to run out of money. So went to the office and we sat down. The borrower came in. We looked at a bunch of different scenarios. And not only did we're able to give her an $80,000 line of credit, she got $20,000 at closing to buy a new car. So now she doesn't have a car payment. She's roughly at about a $60,000 line of credit that she started to draw a little bit more than $300 a month out of, because you can take it out in a bunch of different ways. Okay, so at that meeting, she told her financial advisor, not only do I not want the extra $300 a month, reduce it by $250 from what I'm getting now. So now he's got more money under management that's going to last a lot longer. It's got a line of credit that you can draw off of to live on as well. So, one of the things is this loan used to be called the loan of last resort. When people were down and out, that's really what they looked at. And that is the thing today. It's designed today so seniors can enjoy the rest of their lives. And that's really what this product is all about today.
I think too, with financial advisors, like you said, a lot of people are living to be older. And so they plan on their client living to 80, 85, and now people are living to 90, 95. So they didn't plan on all those additional that they thought that they had enough of is not there anymore, which I think is why this product is so beneficial for them.
And the other thing is the non-recourse today, okay? Because it's an FHA loan, all right? There was no more recourse on these loans. So not only is a financial advisor working for the client now, they're also planning for the future, for their kids. So with the fact that there's no more recourse today, financial planners look at it and say, well, now I don't have to worry about I'm saving all this money here. And if in fact my client was upside down the road, I have to take some money that I have here and put it over here. So now my kids are going to get less money because of the decision I made. When again, that's not going to happen today, because again, we don't give them 100% of the equity. So they're always going to have some equity left, in the fact that today there's no more recourse.
I love that. And so, Peter, that people that maybe listen to this that don't talk our terminology, can you explain for them that understand the non-recourse, so they just understand what that means?
Okay. Yes. So non-recourse. So years ago there was recourse. So if you were upside down in your house, you would be responsible, or your heirs would be responsible to pay any shortage. So for an example, if I owed $150,000 and my house was worth $100,000, I'd be upside down $50,000. So when unfortunately the note became due, my heirs would be responsible to pay that $50,000 shortage because my house is only worth $100,000. Today that's not the case. Okay, they pay that upfront on my fee, which goes into a pool. So if anybody was ever upside down, and again, it'd be very unlikely, we pull that money out of the FHA pool to pay the servicer off. So that there is no recourse, so your heirs are not responsible for any shortage any longer.
Which I think is a huge benefit. We have a lot of people, even people that don't have heirs, like we had a borrower say, okay, so say my house is worth this much and in 5 years it depreciates hugely. Am I going to owe that difference? And I said, no, that's not what the product is. That's why we rewrote it so that that doesn't have to happen.
So the other thing too, so I want to talk about that up front of my piece for a few minutes, because everybody, I hear this a lot, that the cost to do a reverse mortgage is ridiculous. And in fact, it's not. Your cost to do a reverse mortgage, closing cost wise, is the fees are exactly the same as what I would call a forward mortgage or a conventional mortgage. Appraisal, credit, title, and so on, okay? The only difference between that is you have that upfront MIP, okay? It's 2% of the value of the home. But there's a lot of benefits to that, okay? It's like when I talk to borrowers, I tell them, look at it as you're paying an insurance policy for your heirs, okay? How many times do you pay car insurance and then get in a car accident? Okay, but you put that insurance in to protect yourself. Your upfront MIP is exactly the same way. It's allowing me to protect my heirs so that if I was upside down, they're not responsible for any of that. So if I leave them a couple $100,000 or $100,000, I know they're going to get that. So it's an insurance policy. The other thing, like Nicole said, when we give you a line of credit, it's a little bit different on the reverse side than it is on the forward side. So if you did a home equity loan on the forward side, okay, it's only good for 10 years, turns into a principal interest payment, you pay interest only when you draw off, okay? If the market ever shifts, like it did in 2008, how many people did the lender call them and say, you no longer have a line of credit? Or your credit line is now reduced to either in half or a quarter? In our world, on the reverse side, we will never, ever reduce your line of credit. You will only continue to have it grow in interest because, again, you paid that upfront MIP. We are guaranteeing you that you will get growth no matter where your house depreciates to. So if we take it out and your house is worth 500 today and it goes down to 300 2 years from now, you're still going to get that growth based on the 500,000 because, in fact, you paid that upfront MIP. So there's a lot of positives to paying that upfront MIP, but the problem is a lot of others don't know how to explain that, and borrowers look at it and say, "Well, it's crazy." But once you go over the benefits and the protections, borrowers really love, and they don't mind paying that insurance policy upfront.
Well, the other thing too is it's called upfront MIP, but they're not coming to closing with that money. It's factored in dollars. It's just rolled into how the loan is.
Right. So if you did a cash out refi, all the
Same thing.
everything's rolled into that. So
Great examples. Well, guys, we had a couple questions pop up, so I want to make sure we grab those as they're live with us. They asked about, can you do a HECM on a land lease property?
You can if it's stick built. Okay. If there's manufactured housing, you cannot. All right. So there's a factor you got to put into play. The lease has to go for so many years after the age. So there's some calculations we put in there. But yes, you can do it on leased land as long as it's stick built.
Perfect. That's what I was saying. I want to make sure we got that. And then we had a couple folks reach out to that. They brought up, they wanted to echo your comment about they do a lot of lead generation in the mortgage space, and they're expecting obviously this year with rates to continue to decline some. We might see some increased refinance activity. But there are some people with lower credit scores that may not qualify for what they thought they would. And they said, okay, so they're going to reach out to us, which again, another avenue. When you educate, I always say you empower people with the information, they can make more informed decisions. So guys, I love what you're sharing. Talk to me about what's one of the things you've heard in the last few years that maybe is more common that you would say, it's not true, right? It's one of those myths that you hear out there. What's one of those that you have come up quite often?
The biggest one I hear all the time is, I don't want to do this because the lender is going to own my home. Because that's what they hear. They hear like, I don't want to do this, I have to sign the house over to the lender. And that is totally incorrect. You hold title the same way you do on a reverse mortgage as you do on a forward mortgage. I mean, theoretically, the lender owns your house and the forward mortgage till when? You pay it off. Same thing happens here, okay? So if something was to happen to you, your note becomes due and payable when three things happen. Because that's a lot of the other things I hear. So what's the term of the loan? The term is when one of three things happen. You sell the home, you don't live there any longer, the note becomes due and payable, okay? The last living survivor passes away, the note becomes due and payable, okay? You have to go into an assisted living for at least 12 months or longer. So if you do a short stint, not a big deal, okay? When you vacate the house permanently, the note becomes due and payable, all right? Now, when that happens, your heirs have three options, because that's another thing I hear all the time. So what happens when my parents, I lose the house? You do not. You get three options too. First option is you sell the house. You say, I want to sell the house, okay? Pay off whatever is owed. You keep the rest, just like if you had a regular forward mortgage. Every single month you get a mortgage statement. Just like, if you had a forward mortgage, you'll see where your balance is, where your line of credit is, what's available to you, okay? So if you decide you want to sell the house, we get a listing agreement within 30 days of you telling us you want to sell the house. We'll give you 6 months to sell it. If you don't sell it within that 6 months, as long as you're aggressively trying to sell it, we're going to continue to let you sell it. The longest we ever took was 2 years for somebody to sell a house, okay? The reason we get a listing agreement is because a lot of heirs used to say, we're going to sell the house, and they rent it out for a year. There's no payment due on it, so they keep the money. So we don't do that any longer. You want to sell the house? We want to see the listing agreement. That's your first option. Your second option is we're going to actually give you a deal on the house if you want to buy it. You can buy it for 95% of the appraised value or the loan amount, whichever is less. So we treat it as a short sale. We want to just get our money back, okay? So we're going to give you a deal on the house. We had a borrower that we did one for us a few years ago. We did it in November. His daughter called me, unfortunately passed away in February. He owed $100,000 on a house that was worth $350,000. She bought it for the $100,000 and uses it as an investment property now. Now, she could have sold it and put the other $250,000 in her pocket, but she looked at it as she had the $100,000. Why wouldn't I buy a piece of property that I know is worth $350,000 for $100,000? So we're going to give you a discount on the house, okay? And then the third option would be if you were upside down in your house, which again, it'd be very unlikely. You could give the house back. There's no more recourse today, so they're not responsible to pay any shortage, okay? So you have three options when you, unfortunately, pass away at the end of the term, and then you have three options on the yes side to do what they want with the house as well. Okay, so that's the biggest thing. It's like, I'm going to lose the house if something happens to me. That's not the case.
No, I love that. It's almost, a lot of my friends in the financial planning space talk about legacy planning. And that example you gave of the daughter buying it for a substantially lower price than what it would sell for, and then renting that out. I mean, think about, then that's passing on positive cash flow for your kids, maybe their kids. And now you actually have an asset that we all know in this market, even this year and last year, where even lower appreciation is still some appreciation. And that's a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
So, we got another question. I want to make sure we covered some of it earlier. Peter, Nicole, you guys talked about credit scores. Are there any minimum credit scores or things that apply to the program as you look, as they asked about, are you doing these for people that have lower credit scores, and used an example of in the 400s for someone? And so not really, that's not.
On a HECM, there is not a credit limitation on the HECM side. We do have a platinum product, and that does have credit restrictions. But on the HECM side, we don't. We've had borrowers with a mid score of a 502. We've had people with a 493. Like, as long as they're, like I said, there's people that have dinged up credit, and they typically at this age have some sort of reason behind it. So that doesn't come into play with us.
So being in the reverse space, we're more, like I said, we do a lot of that where they have a lot of really good reasons as to why their credit is like that. Unlike in the forward world, even though they look at credit, it's a lot harder for them to get over that hurdle and explain to them. Number one. Two is they're making that mortgage payment every month. So the servicer is more apt to say, hey, I got to take a bigger risk on a borrower that hasn't been paying their bills. So when on the reverse space, you're not required to make a mortgage payment any longer. So again, we're a lot more lenient with good reasoning. we're not just going to give you some money, again, if you have never been able to pay your bills, but 99.9% of the time, we have been able to get that credit explained so we can move forward with it. Yeah.
Love it. And that example you gave to me earlier about someone that they weren't really able to qualify for a traditional mortgage. They had to go to what we call in the mortgage world, all my originators will know, a non-qualified mortgage, non-QM. And they had a rate that was double digits in today's market. And so if that's you out there or you're representing someone and you want to explore other options, I love that because that's one they might not have thought about. Their originator might have said, this is the best we can do. Well, this might be a program that comes in and saves you from having to pay for that if you qualify for the other age pieces and the things we talked about.
And that's one of the great things with Revolution, Ryan. We have our reverse division as well as, so we have a lot of LOs, branch managers reach out and say, hey, can you look at it if they were going to do a reverse mortgage compared to a forward mortgage? So the advantage with us is we can give them options. So it's not just like, hey,
this is it, right?
Yeah, this is it. This might be better for you than this at a particular time. So we can give them a lot of options that a lot of other places can't do as well.
I love that.
And it's in-house. So that is such huge benefit. Yeah. We have total control over the loan. So it's not just sent out to someone and you'll hear back when you hear back. We're in constant communication with everybody, so they know where everything is at throughout the whole process.
I will tell you one thing, and not because Nicole is my daughter, but she is a hound dog when it comes to this, because again, like she said, she cannot stand having to call a borrower and tell them we can't do a loan for them. I'll give you a couple of examples. We got a condo complex, or Nicole did, in Washington State that another lender had for over 6 months and couldn't go anywhere with it. Nicole got it approved in less than 30 days. She downloaded 3,000 pages and filled out all the necessary HUD forms because the management company wouldn't do it. We got that complex approved. So now everybody that's over 55 in there can benefit by a HECM product because of what we did or what she did. We just had another borrower in Sedona that we got for another mortgage company.
She was with two other
mortgage companies. So in Sedona, she lived on a road that had it's a private road. They had to have a private agreement. Well, HECM won't let you have that unless everybody on the street signs the agreement. Well, Nicole went back to 1951 and found out there was a road agreement. You could barely read it, but we sent it over to the title company. They got it. They did their work behind the scenes with the insurance and everything else. That borrower is now closing this week. She was with 2 other mortgage companies. That's what you get when you work with us, is you're going to get that level of service. When I spoke to that woman, she goes, I will give you the best recommendation, not me personally, our company, in every platform that you can point me into, because and she still couldn't believe when we told her. She goes, well, so am I going to be approved? I said, approved. You're going to close in a couple of weeks. This was a couple of weeks ago. Last week, I had a conversation with her. So those are some of the things that you get working with us. Is we're a lender. We will not say no. We don't put you on the back burner. And if something happens, it happens. You're going to get the best service you can with us.
Well, like one of the mortgage companies that she was working with told her, you should just hire an attorney and have all of your neighbors sign this. And she was like, absolutely not. And I was like, no. I'm like, you don't need to do that. We will figure out a way to make it happen without door knocking at your neighbor's house.
We just got a spot approval in Florida on somebody that's purchased the condo down there that Nicole actually got. And they said, you're never going to get it done. And she did. So again, she won't take no for an answer. She's very good.
Well, I love that. That's what makes us different, and I love that you guys talked about earlier, speed and the speed at which, because people, when you need this and you need this sometimes to happen fast, you need to know your lender can do that. We obviously can do that. You guys lead the charge. And then service. A lot of times when people are going through this, they're confused. They don't understand the process. To your point, they think they've got to go hire an attorney or do something that they just don't have time or can't do. You're solving for that on the service side. So when you have speed, you have service, you have all these options of being a one-stop shop at Revolution of, is the reverse the best program for you? We don't know. We're going to compare it out and we'll give you the best option. and you know that we're not pushing one versus the other because we can offer them all. I love that you guys bring that up because there's very few lenders that are doing that today. None that I know of. I'm gonna give you guys a shout out. Is none that I know of that I've talked to and I see in the Housing Wire and everywhere else. No one's closing as fast or at the service levels you are. And so if people are wanting to get in touch with you, I want to make sure I put a plug in. What is the best way if they have questions or they're listening to this later or they have this for a friend? What's the best way to contact you guys to ask those questions or even to apply with you?
I would say our website, which is rrgmortgage.com, but also emailing. Peter's is pmorris@revolutionmortgage.com and mine is nwebster@revolutionmortgage.com. Communication is our biggest strength, I would say. I have people say to me, do you ever sleep? Like, you emailed me at 10 o'clock last night and you emailed me at 4 o'clock this morning. And I'm like, if somebody needs an answer, and I think our borrowers would agree that is one thing that they never have to worry about not getting in touch with us, because even if it's bad news, we want to be able to relay that to you. We don't want you sitting there and wondering if you're going to hear from us in the next 2 weeks. So I think that's our biggest strength, is our communication.
And that to me is number one. And I get so mad when I have people, even my friends, like they'll text me or call, and I'll text them back and they never answer. I know they're holding their phone, I never, in all the years I've been doing it, that was my biggest pet peeve, is you need to be in constant contact. Even with our LOs and our branch managers. Now, I travel the country doing presentations for borrowers, financial planners, realtors, with all our branches all over the country. Nicole actually has access to my emails. So if I am in a presentation that might take an hour and a half, she will respond either as me or herself, because I don't want that borrower to wait an hour and a half. I want them, or an LO that might have a question, I want them to know right away. That is my biggest pet peeve. And obviously the second is service. We have to take care of them. I had a borrower call me yesterday that we closed 8 months ago. She wanted to get some more money out of her line of credit. I helped her do that. I called the servicer for her and I helped her. And she was like, I couldn't believe you answered the phone. I was waiting to leave a message, but that's how I am. I treat people like I want to be treated. And to me, when you're in the service industry, you got to treat people with respect and you got to give them the service that they want.
Yeah, like John Maxwell said it, treat people better than you actually would want to be treated, and you will always come out on the other side of that better. So guys, I'm going to put the links in there, the contact information and all that. And I knew this would be awesome, but you've covered so much in a condensed way. You can tell you know what you're doing. You obviously have the results to back it up, which I tell everybody that matters, speed and service and the product offerings. What have I not asked you that people should know about the HECM program or working with your team? Either way you want to go, floor is yours.
HECM for purchase.
HECM for purchase.
Nobody knows about it, and it's been around for so long.
When I talk to realtors, I tell them, we have a HECM for purchase. And they're like, well, what is that? And it's been around since 2009.
It's literally almost been around 20 years, and like probably 5% of realtors actually know.
I would even say not even 5%.
No, just know that it exists. They don't do it. They just know about it.
Qualifications, you can buy more of a house on the reverse side. You don't have to use all your cash on the reverse side based on your age. There's a different down payment. So I'll give you a quick example. I don't know how much time we have, but so based on your age, say you want to buy a house for $500,000 and you have cash. So I'll give you an example that I give everybody all the time. I'm selling my house in Massachusetts. I'm moving to Arizona to be closer to my grandchildren. Okay. I'm going to net $500,000. My goal is to not have to make a mortgage payment. So I can come to Arizona. I look. There's only a couple houses I can buy in the $500,000 range. But again, I don't want to have to make a mortgage payment. So I buy one of those houses. Or I can do a reverse purchase. Based on my age, the same $500,000 house, I might only have to put down $300,000. I can take the other $200,000, put it in the bank to live on. You can actually give it to us. We'll start a line of credit for you that's going to grow roughly about 8% a year.
At closing,
that you can draw off of monthly to live on. So I did the same thing that I wanted to do in the first step where I didn't want to have to make a mortgage payment. But now I have $200,000 in cash to live on. And the other benefit to that is I can buy more of a home. So again, based on my age and the same $500,000, I potentially can buy a $750,000 house, putting down $450,000. So now I still have $50,000 that I can live on. But now I bought a house with more bells and whistles, closer to my grandchildren, which my kids don't like, but that's okay. It gives me more options too. So when I start to talk to realtors, I'm like, so in the first example, I had $500,000 to work with. There's only 2 houses around. Okay, in the $750,000 range, it might be 15 houses.
Yeah, you just open that sphere to so many more options.
So many more options, and it allows realtors to get more listings today too. Because what's the first thing you do before you list your house? You look to see what's out there based on what you're going to net.
That's right.
So now, if I can show you that now I have 15 different options, it might be something that I like, I'm going to be more apt to sell my house, which now a realtor can get the listing side and then get the buying side. So that's probably the biggest thing is that there's so many great options on we call it the H4P, that realtors don't even know about. And some of the ones that do know about it, getting back to that initial closing time. I did one years ago. It took 60 days. I'm not even interested in listening to it. Well, let me tell you how it works now. And again, the quickest one we ever closed was in Texas. They were ready to close in 7 days. Texas has a disclosure that the borrower has to have in the hand for 12 days. We had to wait 12 days to close it. They were ready to close on a purchase in 7 days, and they had to wait. So, yeah.
Or we had a purchase. The people moved from Arizona to Florida, and we closed the loan before they got there because it just went so fast. They were like, our moving truck hasn't even pulled in the driveway yet.
Yeah, and they were ready to close.
Yeah.
And that realtor was like, oh my God, you gotta, when I was down there, I actually went into the office and did a presentation for the real estate because they wanted to know more about this product and how great it was. So those, again, some of the things you get here that you don't get in other places.
Well, I love that. I'm glad you brought that one up. I was hoping that's where you would go, and that's going to be for a follow-up episode, because I can just tell you, I know I was getting messages over here, people that weren't able to make it today, but want to learn more about it. And I know our realtor community really does need to know about this program because it could open up the doors. You guys articulated that very well. And then also some of our financial planners and other builders, even, they need to know, as populations are aging, our parents, our friends, all of those need to know what options are out there. And you guys are the one-stop shop. Yeah.
So one other real quick change that happened this year on the building side. So I'm glad you brought that up. Years ago, we could not start this loan until the builder had a COO, certificate of occupancy. Okay. Then it changed that we were allowed to start the process, get it all done, with the exception of the appraisal, because we would never lend on plans and specs. January 1st, we are allowed to do plans and specs now. The only thing we'll have to do is get a 1004D once it's done, and we can close. So we can close that loan in 2 days now. So we're starting to get out to builders and say, hey, look, these are the changes, because a lot of builders didn't like it years ago because, they didn't want to wait 60 days afterwards. They've been carrying this for 6 months. They're ready to close, and now they say, wow, you can't close for another 30, 60 days. Today, we close them in 2 days. So a lot better today. We saw the need. More people, more builders are building 55 and older communities because, again, a lot more people are living longer and want to start living in those communities. So we've changed some of the guidelines to help builders and borrowers. And we can do seller concessions up to 6%.
That's what I was going to say, but we got to save that for our next call because that's going to be,
yes.
When that came in, I was so happy.
Yeah.
But yes, 6% seller concessions now on HECM for purchases.
Well, you teed up our next topic exceptionally well, and we got to come back to that. I'm going to tell you what, I'm so impressed in the feedback in the market, but you can see the attention is around this opportunity because it really is serving a need out there. And you guys are doing a phenomenal job. And we will definitely have a follow-up call because I think there's a lot to talk about on the purchase side, the builder side, the changes that have happened. And I will tell you guys this, I know people in the industry and they don't even know about these changes. And so I'm like, guys, you got to either work at Revolution, connect up with somebody at Revolution, but you need somebody from Revolution as part of your team that you're out there, whether you're a realtor, financial planner, or somebody that could benefit from this. So guys,
Absolutely.
Incredible.
Okay.
Thank you. I will include in, for those of you guys listening, I'll include in Peter and Nicole's information. Obviously, you can reach straight out to me as well. We'll make sure we get you in good hands and take care of you. I think you've heard pretty passionate and we care about what we're doing. You can tell Peter and Nicole, they know what they're doing, which is important to have the right guide as you go through. If you're thinking about any of your mortgage related questions, we cover it all. So obviously we focused on the HECM product today and some things there, but any of your other questions, feel free to reach out to us. We are one-stop shop and almost in all the states around the country. I think we're up to 46 states. So making our moves, as we say. Yes. Peter, Nicole, thank you guys. I mean, you're a blessing to the company and everybody out there, that the way you guys show up, the way you actually care, and you take care of our team internally, but also a lot of people around the country.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks, Brian. It was a pleasure. Anytime we can talk about it, get the word out. Thank you very much.
Awesome, my friend. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. Whether you caught us live, I see we have a lot of comments and things in there. We'll make sure to re-engage, put some follow-up information there, or you're catching the replay. Make sure you reach out to us. You can reach directly out to Peter, Nicole, or again, myself, and we will make sure we get you connected up with the right person to take care of you. It doesn't matter if you're looking to buy, sell, all those things, you're a realtor, financial planner, builder, any of that, we are here to help you guys. So we want to make sure that we are your go-to at Revolution Mortgage, and we will catch you on the next episode. See ya.